Are you living or merely surviving between distractions? Look around you. The notifications stacked like prison bars, the endless scroll that steals hours without memory, the constant switching between tasks that fractures attention until nothing remains whole. This is not a motivational speech. This is recognition of a mind under siege. If you feel this resonance, comment. Surviving or awakening? The choice itself begins the protocol. The city never sleeps, but you must. The Stoic secret to unbreakable focus begins not with addition, but subtraction, removing what clouds judgment before attempting to build strength. Rain on concrete at 5 in the morning, your breath visible in cold air. This moment before the world demands reaction instead of response, before your attention becomes currency for others to spend. If you need to reclaim command of your mind, write in the comments, "I take control." This is not declaration but decision, the first step in a sequence that transforms mental fragmentation into concentrated power. Between stimulus and response lies a space. In that space exists your focus, not focus as temporary state that requires perfect conditions. That is the amateur's definition that ensures perpetual failure. But focus as discipline that maintains clarity regardless of external chaos. The Stoic never loses focus because the Stoic never surrendered it to begin with. The focused mind exists not through elimination of distraction, but through sovereignty over attention, through the revolutionary act of choosing where awareness rests rather than allowing it to be continuously redirected. In your internal world today, is there more chaos or more silence? Right, chaos or silence. What if the freedom you seek exists not in doing more, but in doing less, with intention? What if the control you pursue is precisely the prison preventing you from breathing? Consider how much mental energy evaporates in attempts to manage what cannot be managed, to predict what cannot be predicted, to perfect what cannot be perfected. The Stoic focus works not through enhancement, but through elimination, identifying and removing what creates noise rather than signal, what generates reaction rather than response, what produces anxiety rather than clarity. If any question pierces through your defenses, don't retreat. Comment which one, and continue. This acknowledgement itself begins to dismantle the architecture of distraction. This is not promise, but protocol. Not motivation, but method. The path ahead requires no special talent, only the courage to face yourself without flinching, and the discipline to choose what serves your sovereignty rather than what maintains your captivity. Each moment presents the same fundamental choice. Will you direct your mind, or will your mind be directed? Will you determine where attention flows, or will it be determined for you? The Stoic never loses focus because focus is not state to be achieved, but discipline to be practiced, not through occasional effort, but through consistent reclamation of what was always yours, but has been surrendered through unconscious habit. If you're ready to enter this protocol, write simply, "I enter," not as commitment to perfection, but as agreement to practice. Are you ready to hear something that might force you to change, or would you prefer to remain who the world has shaped you to be? Comment, ready or afraid? This question itself begins the training. The Stoic protocol requires not eagerness, but honesty, not enthusiasm, but clarity. The mind that seeks unbreakable focus must first acknowledge its current state without judgment or defense. This recognition, this unflinching self-assessment, creates the foundation upon which sovereignty can be built. Most remain captive to distraction, not through external force, but through internal habit, through patterns of attention and reaction so familiar they have become invisible. The protocol works not through motivation, but through recognition, through the deliberate illumination of what has remained in shadow. The first principle of Stoic focus manifests in your relationship to attention itself. Notice how scattered your awareness has become, fragmented across devices, notifications, thoughts, and tasks, until nothing receives the full power of concentrated mind. This fragmentation ensures not productivity, but perpetual incompletion, the continuous sense of falling behind that drives anxiety and reactive behavior. The protocol begins with attention consolidation. the deliberate practice of directing mental energy towards single points rather than dispersing it across multiple surfaces. From what city and country are you watching now? Let's see how far this protocol is reaching. This question serves not mere curiosity but connection, the recognition that this practice extends beyond individual experience to collective awakening. The third element reveals itself in your relationship to discomfort. The untrained mind organizes life around avoiding specific forms of discomfort: boredom, uncertainty, emptiness, effort. This avoidance ensures not peace, but perpetual vulnerability. For what you cannot tolerate controls you more effectively than what you desire. The Stoic maintains focus not by eliminating discomfort, but through systematically developing capacity to function within it, to maintain clarity and choice even when instinct urges escape. If you're willing to train your mind, write, "I train in silence." This declaration acknowledges that transformation occurs not through consumption of information, but through consistent practice, through the accumulated power of choices that prioritize growth over comfort. The fourth dimension concerns your relationship to reactivity itself. How many times have you lost control, trying to maintain control? When was the last time you heard silence before reacting? Modern existence trains immediate response, the unconscious belief that faster equals better. That instant reaction demonstrates competence. The Stoic never loses focus because they practice deliberate delay, the strategic insertion of space between stimulus and response that transforms reaction into choice. This space, this momentary pause, constitutes the foundation of mental sovereignty. Not as technique, but as orientation, the fundamental shift from being controlled by circumstance to determining relationship with it. Which habit most causes you to lose focus? Comment with just one word: sleep, phone, anxiety, or ego. This identification serves not judgment but recognition, the clear seeing that precedes deliberate change. The fifth principle manifests in your relationship to external validation. The reactive mind constantly seeks confirmation from outside, through social media metrics, through others' approval, through visible achievement. This seeking ensures not satisfaction, but perpetual hunger. For external validation functions not as nourishment, but as temporary relief that requires continuous renewal. The protocol practices internal authorization, the revolutionary act of determining worth through alignment with chosen values, rather than accumulated approval. This practice transforms not just specific behaviors, but fundamental orientation to existence, from externally referenced to internally anchored, from other-directed to self-governed. Notice how much mental energy disperses in anticipating others' responses, in managing others' perceptions, in performing for imagined audiences. What would change if this energy redirected toward what truly matters to you, rather than what appears to matter to others? The sixth element concerns your relationship to mental weather. Most identify completely with passing mental states. I am distracted, rather than I notice distraction arising. I am overwhelmed, rather than I observe feelings of overwhelm. This identification ensures continued captivity. For what you become, you cannot transcend. The Stoic protocol practices witnessing rather than becoming, the deliberate positioning of awareness as observer of mental phenomena rather than as the phenomena themselves. What if chaos isn't against you, but training you? This perspective transforms difficulties from obstacles to opportunities, from what prevents focus to what strengthens it through resistance. Write, I command my mind to seal this advancement. This declaration acknowledges that focus emerges not through absence of challenge, but through transformed relationship to it. The seventh dimension of Stoic focus manifests in your relationship to morning itself. The first hour shapes the remaining 23. Most surrender this sacred time to reaction, checking messages before checking intention, responding to the world before establishing direction. The protocol transforms morning from passive transition to active creation, from unconscious drift to deliberate positioning. The cold metal edge of dawn. The city still sleeping while you build mental fortifications. This is not productivity hack, but sovereignty practice. the revolutionary act of determining direction before external forces impose their priorities. The mind trained at dawn maintains focus when chaos arrives at noon. What happens in the silence of your morning shapes your response to the noise of your day. The eighth principle reveals itself in relationship to digital consumption. Notice how the mind has become conditioned to constant input, to endless scrolling, to perpetual content, to information without integration. This conditioning ensures not wisdom, but addiction, the unconscious compulsion to fill every moment of silence with external noise. The Stoic practices digital minimalism, not as rejection of technology, but as strategic deployment of it. The deliberate creation of extended periods without input allows for integration of what has been consumed, for connection with what already exists within, for generation rather than mere reception. How many insights have been lost to the next notification? How many moments of clarity sacrificed to the endless scroll? The question is not whether technology serves purpose, but whether purpose directs technology. The ninth element concerns your relationship to mental fortress building. The untrained mind attempts to eliminate all threats, to control all variables, to manage all possibilities. This approach ensures not security but exhaustion, for the variables that can be controlled are vastly outnumbered by those that cannot. The Stoic protocol practices selective fortification, the strategic strengthening of what truly matters, while allowing flexibility in what does not. The fortress exists not to prevent all invasion, but to protect the essential while permitting the peripheral to fluctuate. What in your life truly deserves protection? What mental territory must remain sovereign regardless of external circumstance? This discernment, this ability to distinguish between the essential and the peripheral, transforms anxiety from diffuse fog into concentrated clarity. The 10th dimension manifests in your relationship to physical discipline. The body and mind exist not as separate entities but as integrated system. Mental focus requires physical foundation, the neurological stability that emerges from regular movement, from deliberate breathing, from consistent sleep, from nutritional wisdom. The protocol incorporates physical practice not as separate domain but as essential component. The understanding that mental clarity cannot exist independently of physical vessel. The cold shower that trains non-reactivity to discomfort. The deliberate breathwork that recalibrates nervous system. The fasted state that clears mental fog. These practices serve not health alone, but sovereignty, the capacity to maintain clarity and choice regardless of circumstance. What physical practice, if implemented consistently, would most rapidly strengthen your mental focus? The 11th principle concerns your relationship to emotional weather. Most are controlled entirely by emotional states, compulsively acting when angry, withdrawing when anxious, seeking distraction when bored, chasing validation when insecure. This reactivity ensures not freedom but predictability, for those who cannot govern emotional response remain permanently vulnerable to manipulation. The Stoic reset practices emotional differentiation, the ability to experience emotions fully without being determined by them, to acknowledge feelings without automatically translating them into action. This capacity, this space between emotion and behavior, constitutes the foundation of unbreakable focus. Not as suppression but as discernment, the revolutionary choice to determine which emotions deserve expression and which require observation without action. The 12th element reveals itself in relationship to identity itself. The untrained mind becomes what it experiences. I am unfocused rather than I notice focus fluctuating. This identification with temporary states ensures continued captivity. For what you become, you cannot transcend. The protocol practices witnessing rather than embodying, the deliberate positioning of awareness as observer of mental phenomena rather than as the phenomena themselves. Right, I command my mind to seal this advancement. This declaration acknowledges that sovereignty emerges not through absence of challenge, but through transformed relationship to it, through the revolutionary recognition that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your circumstances, but the awareness in which all these arise and pass away. The 13th dimension of Stoic focus manifests in your relationship to information consumption. The modern mind drowns in content, yet starves for wisdom, consuming endless data without integration, accumulating knowledge without implementation, collecting insights without transformation. This approach ensures not clarity, but confusion, the perpetual state of knowing more while understanding less. The protocol practices deliberate restriction, the strategic limitation of input that enables deeper processing of what truly matters. The city lights reflected in rain puddles at dawn, the clarity that emerges not through addition, but through subtraction. Which habit most causes you to lose focus? Comment with just one word: sleep, phone, anxiety, or ego. This identification serves not judgment, but recognition, the clear seeing that precedes deliberate change. The 14th principle reveals itself in relationship to productivity itself. The untrained mind measures worth through output, through tasks completed, through visible achievement, through quantifiable performance. This measurement ensures not satisfaction, but perpetual inadequacy. For what can be measured can always be found lacking when compared to potential. The Stoic protocol practices presence over production, the revolutionary valuation of quality of attention over quantity of accomplishment. This shift transforms not just work, but fundamental orientation to time, from resource to be maximized to experience to be fully inhabited. What happens when you value the quality of your focus more than the volume of your production? What changes when worth derives from how fully you inhabit each moment, rather than how many moments you fill with activity? The 15th element concerns your relationship to certainty itself. The reactive mind demands guarantees, craves predictability, requires assurance before action. This demand ensures not safety, but paralysis, for certainty exists as theoretical construct rather than attainable state. The protocol practices comfort with ambiguity, the capacity to maintain focus without requiring resolution, to take action without demanding outcome, to make decisions without insisting on perfect information. This comfort transforms anxiety from obstacle to companion, from what prevents concentration to what accompanies it without determining its course. How much mental energy dissipates in the desperate attempt to predict what cannot be predicted, to control what cannot be controlled, to eliminate what cannot be eliminated? What would change if this energy redirected toward what can actually be influenced? The 16th dimension manifests in your relationship to mental bandwidth. Attention functions not as unlimited resource, but as finite capacity. The undisciplined mind attempts to process everything, to track every variable, to maintain awareness of all possibilities. This attempt ensures not competence, but overload, the mental equivalent of circuit breaker tripping under excessive demand. The Stoic reset practices deliberate limitation, the strategic reduction of inputs that enables depth rather than breadth. This limitation transforms not just specific tasks, but fundamental relationship to focus, from scattered surface attention to concentrated depth. From what city and country are you watching now? Let's see how far this protocol is reaching. This question acknowledges that transformation occurs not in isolation, but in community, that individual practice gains power when recognized as part of collective evolution. The 17th principle concerns your relationship to the shadow self. Most attempt to eliminate what they consider negative, to suppress anger, to deny fear, to hide weakness, to overcome limitation. This suppression ensures not transcendence, but subversion. For what cannot be acknowledged cannot be integrated, and what cannot be integrated continues to influence from shadow. The protocol practices shadow integration, the deliberate acknowledgement and assimilation of what has been rejected. This integration transforms not just specific emotions, but fundamental relationship to self, from fragmented division to unified wholeness. What parts of yourself do you still refuse to acknowledge? What aspects of your nature remain exiled from conscious awareness? This acknowledgement serves not self-judgment, but self-reclamation, the recovery of energy previously expended in maintaining internal division. The 18th element reveals itself in relationship to time itself. The untrained mind exists perpetually elsewhere, rehearsing past mistakes, anticipating future challenges, rarely inhabiting present moment. This temporal dispersion ensures not preparedness, but absence, the continuous non-presence that characterizes modern existence. The Stoic mind reset practices temporal precision, the deliberate alignment of awareness with current experience rather than mental projection. This alignment transforms not just specific states, but fundamental orientation to existence, from continuous displacement to centered presence. Right, I command my mind to seal this advancement. This declaration acknowledges that focus emerges not through control of circumstance, but through command of attention, through the revolutionary choice to be fully present to what is, rather than partially present to what was or might be. The 19th dimension of Stoic focus manifests in your relationship to resistance itself. Most attempt to eliminate obstacles, to avoid challenges, to circumvent difficulties. This avoidance ensures not progress, but stagnation, for growth occurs precisely through engagement with what impedes it. The protocol practices deliberate friction, the strategic embrace of resistance as necessary component of development, the weight that strengthens only through opposition, the mind that clarifies only through challenge, the focus that sharpens only through difficulty. What if chaos isn't against you, but training you? This perspective transforms obstacles from barriers to opportunities, from what prevents concentration to what enables it through necessary resistance. The 20th principle reveals itself in relationship to failure itself. The untrained mind views setback as indictment, as confirmation of inadequacy, as evidence of incompetence, as proof of fundamental flaw. This interpretation creates not just suffering, but paralysis, the inability to maintain focus due to fear of repeated failure. The Stoic protocol practices failure reframing, viewing it not as terminus but as waypoint, not as conclusion but as data, not as identity but as event. This reframing transforms failure from endpoint to intelligence, from what defines to what informs. How many times have you lost control, trying to maintain control? When was the last time you heard silence before reacting? The questions seek not immediate answer, but gradual revelation, the slow unfurling of understanding that comes through lived experience rather than intellectual grasp. The 21st element concerns your relationship to protocol itself. Most approach systems with either blind adherence or reflexive rejection, either following without question or dismissing without examination. Both approaches ensure not sovereignty, but surrender, either to external authority or to internal reactivity. The Stoic protocol practices principled adaptation, the strategic modification of system to serve individual rather than conformity of individual to serve system. The protocol exists not as rigid doctrine, but as adaptable framework, a structure that enables freedom through constraint rather than limitation that restricts it through rigidity. If you're willing to train your mind, write, I train in silence. This acknowledgement recognizes that transformation occurs not through passive consumption, but through active implementation, through the deliberate application of principle to specific circumstance. The 22nd dimension manifests in your relationship to community itself. The focus that sustains itself in isolation eventually falters. The practice that flourishes in community eventually transforms. The Stoic protocol recognizes the necessity of shared commitment, the power that emerges when individual practice becomes collective evolution. This recognition transforms discipline from isolated struggle to communal advancement, from what separates to what connects through shared values rather than shared circumstances. Which habit most causes you to lose focus? Comment with just one word: sleep, phone, anxiety, or ego. This identification serves not just personal recognition, but collective insight, the understanding that patterns transcend individual experience to reveal universal tendencies. The 23rd principle concerns your relationship to implementation itself. Most consume information without application, collect knowledge without integration, accumulate wisdom without embodiment. This accumulation ensures not transformation, but stagnation. the illusion of progress created by intellectual acquisition without behavioral modification. The protocol practices immediate implementation, the deliberate application of insight to specific circumstance within 24 hours of recognition. This practice transforms knowledge from theoretical construct to lived experience, from what is known to what is embodied. What single insight from this protocol, if implemented today, would most significantly enhance your focus? The answer reveals not just preference but priority, not what appeals to you, but what would most effectively forge the quality of mind you seek to develop. What changes within you if you truly apply what you're hearing? This question seeks not immediate answer, but lived response, not concept but embodiment of what has been recognized. The Stoic protocol works not through understanding, but through implementation, not through knowing, but through becoming. The path requires not heroic intervention, but humble consistency, the willingness to begin again and again and again, regardless of previous failure or success. What within you has begun to shift during this protocol? What focus has emerged where distraction once ruled? Right, I command my mind to seal this advancement. The Stoic never loses focus, not through dramatic transformation, but through microscopic choices, through the accumulated power of moments when clarity was chosen over confusion, presence over distraction, sovereignty over surrender. What has changed in you, even if silently, since this video began? Notice the subtle shifts in your posture, the quality of your breath, the spaces between your thoughts that have widened almost imperceptibly. The Stoic protocol does not end with these words, but begins with your next choice, with the deliberate positioning of attention that transforms distraction into focus. The training continues not through consumption, but through implementation, through the microscopic choices that accumulate into unbreakable concentration. If something awakened in you today, comment, "I awakened." This acknowledgement marks not completion but commencement, the first step in a practice that extends beyond words into lived experience. The rain that fell upon the city now glistens on awakening streets. The warrior who learned to breathe amidst battle now stands centered in the eye of his own storm. The fire that once consumed now illuminates the path ahead with steady flame. These are not mere images but reflections of what has always existed within you, the capacity for focus regardless of circumstance, for clarity amidst confusion, for direction within chaos. When life tests your calm again, to what will you return? This question accompanies you now not as burden but as compass, guiding you back to center when external forces inevitably pull toward periphery. Something within you has been realigned, not through addition but through recognition of what was always present, yet rarely accessed. The pause between stimulus and response that contains your sovereignty. The space between thought and action where freedom resides. The awareness that remains unchanged while witnessing changing states. Control is not absence of emotion, it is the breath between one and another. Silence is not escape, it is mastery. The fire that once burned you now forges you. Choose one of these phrases as your mantra and comment which will be yours. This selection serves not mere preference but anchoring, the deliberate installation of reminder that returns in moments of greatest challenge. The Stoic focus functions not through perfection but through practice, through the accumulated power of moments when presence was chosen over distraction, clarity over confusion, response over reaction. The unbreakable concentration you seek emerges not through dramatic intervention, but through consistent implementation, through the revolutionary act of directing attention rather than having it directed. Right, I continue the protocol if you intend to return tomorrow to train your mind. This declaration acknowledges that transformation occurs not through isolated experience, but through sustained commitment, through the continuous choice to build what matters rather than constantly repairing what breaks. The city awakens around you, but something within remains untouched by its demands, a center of silence that exists not in opposition to noise, but within it. This center, this sovereignty, constitutes not escape from reality but engagement with it on your terms, rather than on terms imposed by technologies and systems designed to capture and disperse your attention. The world is noise, but within you there is command. This recognition transforms not just specific moments but fundamental orientation to existence, from externally driven to internally guided, from reactive to responsive, from distracted to focused. From which city and country are you watching? Share not for engagement, but as declaration of presence, as acknowledgement that this practice extends beyond individual experience to collective awakening. The Stoic protocol grows not through isolation, but through connection, through the recognition that individual sovereignty contributes to collective evolution. Like dawn light reflected in countless windows, each mind that awakens illuminates not just personal existence, but shared landscape. This community, this tribe of focused minds emerging across the world, creates not just accountability, but recognition. The profound understanding that you are not alone in this practice, that the focus you cultivate is not isolated achievement, but shared evolution, that the path continues long after these words fade in the silence of your next choice.